Hey, it's Eric Crawford courtside at Greensboro Coliseum, where Kentucky has just lost to Kansas State 75-69 in the second round of the NCAA Tournament. I want to just kind of go over a few things. First off, Oscar Tshiebwe is brilliant and was 25 points, 18 rebounds. You knew what you were going to get from him. You got a really good performance from Cason Wallace. 21 points, 9 rebounds. This is as well as I've seen him play. And he kind of responded to the challenge of Marquis Nowell on the other side. But what Kentucky didn't get, and there's no getting around it in this game, you can't cover it up, you can't hide it. Antonio Reeves misses his first 14 shots. Incredibly frustrating day for him, and they were good looks. And a lot of them looked good when they left his hand. They just didn't go in, but he misses 14. Jacob Toppin is 1 for 7. Those are guys, let's think about this. Toppin has been averaging 12.6 a game. Reeves has been averaging better than 14 a game, and they've been better than that down the stretch of this season. If you don't get it from those two guys, you're probably not going to win. Kentucky played very well otherwise. They dominated rebounding. They shot well enough to win. They defended well enough through a lot of the game. But as I'm looking at this, you want to come up, everybody wants to come up with, like, the villain. Whose fault was it? And we know guys that didn't have a good game, but they want to look at the coaching, and they say, and there's been a lot of complaints about Calipari's offense, and I could do that in this game. I could say there were multiple trips. The Kentucky game down the floor, and they just kind of probed one-on-one. Wallace probing one-on-one, Toppin probing one-on-one. They didn't find something. They got a decent shot, and it either went in or they missed, and Tshiebwe would get the rebound and put it back, or they'd get an offensive rebound and not put it back. There were a lot of those possessions, but in the end, Kentucky got enough good shots to win. So how much can you criticize an offense where you got enough good shots to win? I think my thing with this is, yes, they got enough good shots to win, but when they needed points at the end, I don't think they've looked very confident in whatever sets they were running. They came down the court and they looked a little bit tentative, and that's because you don't know you've got something. On the other side, I'm sitting right behind the Kansas State bench, and I'm watching, and Nowell brings the ball down. He knows exactly what he wants to do. In fact, he shook off the bench on a couple things, said, no, I want to run this. You could see him waving his hand, no, I got it. And they ran something. He did a great job. That's the difference in having a real experienced floor leader and not. And to me, that was the difference in this game, because you look, there were two, we don't have set pieces in basketball so much. Really, it's even the women's game where you get these end of quarter situational things, and you got to manage them well. Kansas State managed the end of the first half better than Kentucky. Kentucky could have gone in with a lead. Instead, they go in down 3. Kansas State did a great job. They went 2 for 1. They got a turnover. Calipari pulled some guys out to keep them from getting another foul. In the end, I don't know that killed Kentucky, but Kentucky missed 9 of the last 10 shots of the first half, and Kansas State got back in the game. And the same thing happened at the end of the ball game. Kansas State executes well. They come down, and in the end, they just make the big shots. Keontae Johnson makes a shot. Nowell makes a shot. Masood, a guy who hadn't made a shot the whole game, makes a 3 over Toppin. They made 3 of the last 4 threes. They hit 4 threes in the last 6 minutes of the game. They were 0 for 12 the whole first half. They go 5 of 9 for the second half. That's just a team rising to the occasion. When that happens, you have to give that team credit. So I think that's a takeaway. You give Kansas State a lot of credit. And Kentucky, the question is this: how much does Calipari need to go back to the drawing board in terms of how he coaches the offensive side of the game? And I think that's been a question for a while at Kentucky. It's another early round exit. It's been a while since they've made a run. There is no lack of talent on this team. People talk about the adversity they have. There are a lot of teams that would kill for the talent that Kentucky had on the court this year, even if it was young, some of it. So it's not a question of talent. It's not going to be a question of talent next year. It's going to be a question of, do you have some sets that you can run that players are confident in? Do players know where their teammates are going to be? Do they know there's a pocket pass to make? Or they know there's a play where they can run down and get a layup, get to the rim, do what they got to do? Kansas State looked supremely confident in what they were doing, and even when they were shooting threes, they were extremely confident. So you know, where does that come from? You can't say Kansas State was a new team. Most of those guys came together just this year. They're a fantastic story. Jerome Tang had only 2 players when he got to campus. He put this whole team together on the fly, and now they're going to the Sweet 16. Kentucky is still looking for answers, and I think that's going to needs to be a sincere search for Calipari in the offseason. It's tough when you've played well enough to win, and I think Kentucky did, and you just don't make shots. You just say, well, we didn't make shots, and you go home and you do it. But for Kentucky, when you've had years in a row of this, and you're Kentucky, it's a little bit different. And Calipari knows that. I think the fans are going to wait and see a little bit how he evolves this year. That's going to be an interesting question. But tough loss for Kentucky, a game they were in. Again, they had every chance to win and did not. So it's back to the drawing board. We know there's another great class coming in. Not a lot of guys expected back. Calipari's asked in a post-game press conference, were any of the seniors who have another year of eligibility coming back? Did not sound like it. All right, that's it from Greensboro. Had fun covering the Cats this year. Just didn't happen to get a long enough run here in the postseason. We'll be back. We'll have more breakdown of what happened with this Kentucky team. We'll have a lot of breakdown of other stuff going on in college basketball back in town. We've got a regional to cover in Louisville. So lots of stuff. Stay with us. WDRB.com and WDRB Sports. The last time from Greensboro, Eric Crawford for WDRB.